feel like it kicked us off. Oh, but I don't think it did. Did it?
Meeting is now
It did before, I think, but we're back.
We are
We're back now.
Yeah.
It says
Felt like Marcel did that, but I don't think he did. So
Always blame the tenor.
always blame the tenor. The funny thing with Marcel was that he always had candy.
that's right.
That
And
was his
McDonald's.
meal. At least it was 3 times a
is
day.
true,
though,
yeah.
So that was
Yeah.
That's true. It's regular.
It was nice
So-
to be next to Marcel or to be near him.
to be near him.
Always get some sweetness.
I remember when just showed up in the van all of a sudden, like when we
And
had
your
like a
life
good
was
thing
never
going,
better after that.
and then
You're
all of a
welcome.
sudden Jonelle was just in the van,
That is true.
like
I
one day, and it
gonna
was
do
very
a service
interesting.
for our team because I was in the red van and then there was like 7 of us in there. So I was
Yeah.
like, why don't I just go to the other van? There's 2 of us over there. So I decided, and then yeah, it was like me and Giles, the tallest people in the back of that red van. This is not good for anybody. I'm just
Well,
gonna
you
move.
were a welcome addition to our van, because
Thank
really
you so
we didn't
much,
need.
David.
You're welcome, and we didn't need Andrew's feet taking up the whole van anyway.
Okay, that's enough, David. Thank you. More than enough. Yeah.
Well, so David, how are you doing? Where are you? How is self-isolation going?
Yeah, so I'm also in Toronto, just a couple streets over from you, and generally I would say it's going pretty well. I don't think the house could be any more organized than it is. Everything is like alphabetical and spotless.
Nice.
And yeah, same as Marcel, like lots of cooking. I feel like I live in the kitchen. I love cooking anyway, so this isn't any different than any other day. But now I actually have time to try new recipes and do way more baking, which is far more labor intensive. So yeah, I think overall, this ain't so bad. I miss everybody, but at least we have this to connect with each other. It's not as cozy as the van, that's for sure.
There's not much cooking in the van either, was there?
There was
No, mostly just like candies being unwrapped from one person to another, and the occasional jacket being slipped off my arm by Jonelle.
Always here to
Those
help.
delicious
you,
hotel
Jonelle.
breakfasts as well.
Yeah.
Some of them were pretty good. Calgary had the best one. I remember that.
Yeah,
Calgary
Calgary was
breakfast?
good. Except that's when Marcel forgot to order the good meal and ended up
Yeah.
eating
I
like toast
remember.
and oats.
I did.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
ate that
man.
awful breakfast, and I could have had a buffet.
They could have had a deluxe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, Jonelle, what about you? Where are you? How are you doing?
I'm in Markham with my family and I'm doing pretty good. We, like Marcel was saying, like we have enough food and all my family is healthy. So I'm really grateful for that. And I'm grateful for the internet so I can talk to my friends if I'm ever like feeling down or just go outside. And it's been nice to have more time. And I am very much of an extrovert, but it's kind of nice to like not see people and kind of just like have time to reflect and do what you need to do and kind of like focus on yourself. So I've been having a good time.
Yeah, you were texting me. You were happy that you were happy to not see Marcel. So that was.
I did not say that.
Wow.
I did not say that.
This is a standing thing for everyone here, I think.
I believe that she texted you that.
That is no lie, Joel. Okay,
I
that's how
believe
you're gonna
it.
play this game.
I could show on the phone, but no.
You have no
It's only
evidence,
fair. I mean, Marcel did dump you once he found out you were dying of an illness, right?
right?
Sure.
Right.
It's only payback. Yeah.
Right.
What
I
a
know.
jerk.
Okay.
Get COVID. That's the real thing.
And also, I feel like Mimì and Rodolfo, we didn't have the proper resources to learn how to communicate well.
It's true.
So he's like, "You gotta go," instead of like, "Hey, let me go through my own emotional stress and
Right.
how I can communicate to you."
He's coming off a sugar rush, I'm sure. You know, he just finished his last bag of
The
candy
come
and
down.
didn't know what to do. Emotions were high.
Yeah, those sugar come downs are tough.
Yeah, they're tough. Very tough.
And what about Andrew Adridge? How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I guess it's been difficult, you know, being in isolation. not being able to see everybody, but I'm allowing myself to kind of like feel the ups and downs of that and not like think too much into the day by day kind of feelings of like COVID, I guess. I'm trying to keep busy mostly. I'm working out, playing a lot of video games, trying to learn some music, but I'm not like kind of tying myself to any specific activity, just trying to roll with it and do what I need to do in the time. But I'm grateful to have the time to kind of reflect and like Jonelle was saying, and kind of take a step back from the busyness and really think about what matters and spend time with my mom more and now that I'm home. So it's good. It's good. It's been good lately.
So kind. Such a good man you are.
Oh, I know. David, you can put that hand down. Thank you.
I think that's to David.
No, I just put that down there.
Exactly. So, well, so here we are in this kind of wild scenario where could anyone have thought what would have, no one could have predicted what could have happened, but like knowing what extremities or extremes we live in now, is there anything that, can you like imagine how close we were to people and to food and possible lots of, some of those bars and lots of, and any of those kind of highlight or come back to you as you think about this big trip that led to this kind of epic run at the Transat Club, followed by CBC kind of live streaming?
Well, I loved the coziness of Bob's Burgers. I mean, so cozy that I actually had to be part of the set, which has never happened. And so I love that we like coined me as like the fifth roommate that no one paid attention to because all we did was play piano all day long.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Which was the opposite of Winnipeg, where you guys were so far away.
Yeah.
I had no idea if you could even hear me. I just kept playing as loudly as possible. Fingers
Yeah.
crossed. Yeah, it was crazy.
What about in
It
Regina?
makes
when
me think about the fat badger. Yes.
Yeah.
You're gonna say exactly what I was gonna say now.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna
I made
say
my
like
first tip.
how cozy. Yeah, one, how David got tipped what, a nickel for all his
15
playing.
15 cents, Andrew.
I don't know if it was worth that
3
much, but
times
that's
that much.
Oh, good. But how confined that space was. I mean, it was just like an alleyway, basically. That whole bar scene, it was just like trying to get through people, not trying to hit somebody with my saxophone running down, up and down, all over the place. That was the coziness of that is definitely one to reflect on.
What's kind of cool about all of you is how, I'm just like, it's bringing back all these thoughts, but how each spot that we went to, like we tailored to each community that we went to. And so you guys were having to change things on the, I can't believe how improv-y everything felt considering how regimented everything was. And yeah, that was kind of how you could reference things in, who went first? Was it you, Andrew, or Giles, who had kind of that first local reference?
I think actually Clarence would have his local reference first.
Yeah.
He would say
Right.
at the wherever the other night I saw Benoit.
Right.
Oh
Or
yeah.
Benny. But then yeah, every day I tried to find some place that would be a kind of a funny local reference in my one line. And sometimes they were quite successful. I remember in Banff, at Bob's Burgers also it was quite successful. But then there were other nights where they fell completely flat. and nobody laughed, and I just turned around at the bar.
I always laughed
No, thank you, David. Thank you for that.
at you.
But yeah, it was a fun at me. Oh, good. Oh, thank you. Well, that's either they're laughing at me or with me. That's fine. But yeah, I do remember having to dig up and find a local reference every night. That was always a fun thing. Kind of in the car, looking around and seeing what could be used for the evening.
Fun. What was it like, Jonelle and Marcel? Because we didn't really give you too many nights off either. So to relive that relationship night after night, because how many performances did you guys do together? Was it 20 something.
20?
I think
Yeah,
20.
Most of us.
Wow.
Yeah.
How did it change or grow from those initial rehearsals to the like last performance?
I can go first.
Yeah, go for it.
For me, I just kind of took it one day at a time and just always made sure that I slept. Because if I thought like, oh my gosh, I gotta do this like 19 more times, then I think that would have been taxing to do. But for me, like, yeah, taking it one day at a time and always like talking to Marcel as we got to each space and figuring out like we're always gonna hide or like little things like that. But like for me, the most fun parts with Marcel was in Act 2 at the bar scene.
Definitely.
Because me and Marcel, mostly Marcel, would be like telling me all these jokes and I'm just like dying of laughter. And it was like all the laughs in Act 2 are genuine because Marcel is like the funniest person on the planet.
There you go.
True.
Interesting.
I remember in the first rehearsals, just because there is such an like sort of improvisatory, is that the right word? Improvisatory like atmosphere towards a lot of the show because it's a bunch of friends hanging out. It felt kind of more random at first, I'd say. And as we got to know what each other were doing, it felt like we really knew exactly where we'd meet up. And sometimes there was still a little bit of moments of improv, but we always knew that at this point we're going to come together here and then we'll go do our own thing and come back together here. So I think it maybe still felt like we were in the moment, but every day we'd kind of be able to play off the audience and play off each other and just take some time in between coming back together to make it still feel like it was just happening right then for the first time. And I really do feel like by the end of it, it's like I could almost like read Jonelle's mind. I was like, I know she's gonna move now. And you know, like we just had such a like a simpatico, I guess. Is that the right way to say that? And I really felt like we were like locked into each other's thoughts by the last performance because we'd done it so many times, so close together. Yeah.
That's the kind of thing. It's like, I don't remember any show that I've ever done that has felt so, I guess, I don't know if organic's the right word, maybe, but like where you incorporate that kind of looseness where anything can happen. But like you said, Marcel, you have those hooks that you kind of go back to.
Yeah. And
yeah,
things do change, you know, like in the Yukon, a pot lit on fire and there was smoke everywhere. And I thought we were going to have to stop the show. But, you know, I think in many ways, like because something like that can happen and the nature of the show is that things can change very quickly. We kind of just improv'd our way through it and made it work. And there were a couple of shows where things weren't in the right place. And the nature of the show and the fact that it's in English allowed us to just find a way to make that work and say something to make it make sense right now. So I think that's part of the joy too, is that because it's in English, we can so quickly just make up something to make it make sense if it's something's going wrong.
How did that, from a orchestra perspective, David, how did you reconcile that?
Well, I think like we were so lucky because I think we had such a strong musical rehearsal in Banff before we even took it on the road. And everyone was so prepared, but also so open to whatever changes I had asked for or that just seemed to need to have to happen. So I think we also knew that we had to keep a very open mind about the whole tour because we never knew any of these locations until we actually got there an hour before the performance. And I think everyone was so cool about it. You know, I always laughed because Joel, you would always go there first before we even got there and send us a picture. And we'd all look at it, be like, how in the world are we going to make this work? This is impossible. And then somehow it's just like, we just sort of, you know, forgot any rules. We knew the music well, we trusted each other. And as Marcel said, like we could improvise when we had to improvise. So I think our team was so amazing at that. I kind of had it the easiest in a sense because I was just plopped in one place and did my thing, but everyone else, you guys were always reacting to something completely different. So kudos to you. But yeah, I think it was that. I think it was just the preparedness that we had in Banff, and
Yeah.
that just made it so much easier to let it fly.
Andrew, did you have a favorite stop along the tour?
Absolutely, Medicine Hat, the Mainliner pub, was my favorite stop.
Yes.
It was, I think, the craziest show that we did. We
Yeah.
walked
For
into this
sure.
place next to the train tracks, like on the side of the dirt road. And I was sure we were all gonna get murdered. But then we walked in, and these people like had a blank stare of what, like, no opera kind of experience. And I'm like, this is gonna be the biggest flop. And they loved it more than anybody
Oh my
else. And like they laughing the whole time. The bar scene, I think, was the best one that we ever did. Like, it was just so funny. Like, we ate some great French fries, Giles and I, from some kind patron in the front row.
That's right.
And it was just like it was, I think, exactly what the whole tour was supposed to be. Like, was just like encapsulated in that night for me. It was just like a local community, very little experience with opera, and they all just loved it and wanted more at the end. And I just remember leaving that night feeling so good about what we had put on. So that was definitely my favorite, especially the guy who kept on playing the slot machine during the opera. That was probably like for me during that one, but that was definitely my favorite stop. Yeah.
I have actual video footage of me saying to Joel, I'm not getting out of the car. Like, it scared me so much. And I was like, I'm not playing, no way.
That's so funny.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, the jalapeno poppers were coming out, and just everything that you traditionally don't associate with opera was kind of on.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That was Medicine Hat for sure. And the worst, not the worst. It's a beautiful pub, but like the worst layout for trying to.
Oh yeah.
With the
Move
two rooms
around.
on each side, and you guys made it work. It was incredible. Yeah. And he was so kind. Rob was. He was like drilling out speakers to make more room. It was it was wild. Marcel, what about you? Best stop?
I think we all kind of came to a universal consensus that Medicine Hat was like, I think it just surprised us all because we got there and we're like, it's not gonna work. And it really, like, the audience was so enthusiastic, and I felt like the performance for me could really be like made or broken based on how the audience was reacting to it.
Yeah.
Because, we, regardless of the fact that we're trying to improvise and make things happen, like, if the audience isn't getting it, because you're sitting right beside them. And so the fact that, like, they were just so into it was really great. Also, when we did Dawson City, which was our final 23rd show, I felt like we were at a hockey game. Like, the audience was like screaming and shouting, like jumping up and down. I was like, is this like, what's happening in this city? We are so far removed from all of the rest of the earth, and like, people are loving this. And it was just like I left the stage and I was like, I can't believe this is happening. Like, I felt like it was a hockey game. Like, it was so rambunctious. I think I'll never forget both of those places. Yeah.
Nice.
What about you?
Definitely Medicine Hat, and also liked Brandon, Manitoba, just because it was after the show. It was really nice to talk to the students from the university. And I just like talking with students, and they were so grateful that we came, and because they never really have any live opera come to their city, so I thought that was really special night for me. And then before we came to Brandon, we stopped in Wolseley, wherever that was.
Yeah.
Saskatchewan.
That was such a nice time.
And that was like a cool little like discovery of that like beautiful like old like opera house. And yeah, it was cool to sing for those people in that community too. So those were definitely highlights for me.
My favorite space that we went to, or not space, my favorite place we went to was definitely Kenora. I'm moving to Kenora.
Oh yeah, I remember how much.
I love Kenora. I love that hotel. I'm gonna buy it.
I don't know what he could have liked.
What did you like?
It's beautiful. I saw someone pull up to a Loblaws in a boat.
What more could you want?
What more? Can
You know, I think I think we had like our really depressing lunch in Kenora.
Oh yeah, I had like the
We went
worst
to-
smoothie
We
there.
did, yeah, it was just oh
Oh.
god, it was just not.
Oh,
It
we
was
went
like
to a
a
great
peanut
place
butter
in Kenora.
chocolate smoothie, but it was sludge.
Yeah, I know.
It was sludge.
And then we went
I was
across
like-
the street to try to get fries from that fry cart guy, and he was closed.
Yeah.
Like I just did not.
Yeah,
I
you were
checked
not
out of
having
Kenora.
it.
I was not having it in Kenora.
Yeah,
Should've
you
stuck
needed
with
the
candy.
Bob, I don't know if he's still watching, but Bob commented he's kind of following along, so it's kind of
Yay,
cool
Bob.
to see
Love you, Bob.
Bob Firth,
Bob.
Yes,
Bob's
the
Burgers.
beacon of
who-
Kenora.
Yeah, missing Bob. Okay, David, what about you? Was there a particular spot?
I mean, I hate to sound like a broken record, but I have to also say Medicine Hat, because it was also exactly, I think, what all of us needed to happen for us to feel comfortable with the rest of the tour. I think all of us were walking into it with doubts, like, what are we doing here? How is this audience going to react to this?
Yeah.
And they were the most incredible audience. I've never heard so much screaming during an opera that wasn't coming from the singers, you know? So it made me feel like, oh my God, if this is what the rest of the tour is going to be like, this is going to be the best time of my life. And it was. I've never had more fun at any gig, any job, for anything. So kudos to Medicine Hat. But also being in Banff, like for the rehearsal process, it was the most beautiful time of year. And also, I've never had that much fun in a rehearsal process. I've never laughed that hard in my life. And I've never felt such an easy camaraderie with a whole cast like that. So all of it really, but yeah, from Banff into Medicine Hat, it was amazing.
I want to chime in on that because the 2 weeks in Banff were like some of the happiest memories I have of my entire life. It was so funny. We laughed so hard every day. So beautiful. And I remembered by the end of like day 3, it was like we were like done. Like we'd staged the whole thing at least once. And it was like, how did this happen? Like we are spending so much time of rehearsal laughing our butts off, but somehow we still got this whole thing done in like 3 days. And it was some of the best memories I ever had in my entire life.
For sure.
It was magical. It really was.
I agree.
It was so cool to see our country, which is so big. And I know Greg Finney is, who's commenting as well. We got to take this out east. And
out east.
we'll see when and how that can happen with all this excitement going on. But as we revisit this on Tuesday night, is there something that you're looking forward to either seeing, or I don't know, when's the last time you saw this kind of share, but yeah. Is there something you're looking forward to?
I always love Act 2. It's just so much fun.
Yeah.
That's my favorite part.
Act 2.
Yeah,
Nice.
Act 2 is for me especially because I never get to really watch it. It's always such a hectic scene musically, and then depending on our locations, like sometimes everybody was so far away from me, so there was so much concentration that had to go into it. So now getting to watch it and seeing even more how brilliant it was than I already thought it was, I can't wait to see it again.
I'm excited to see Act 3 because we don't get to see Act 3. You know, it was always Giles and I playing a game backstage quietly. So I'm excited to watch that and to see what everyone else gets to relish and we don't really get to see. That's always exciting.
I have actually not yet watched the video. So this will be my first watch through. Yeah, I find it really hard to watch myself, obviously. But I haven't watched it. So it'll be my first viewing of it on Tuesday.
Excited.
Are you scared about that? How do you feel about watching yourself?
Definitely a little scared. I think more than anything, watching myself, the thing that I noticed the most, and I'm doing it in the Zoom video, is like my facial expressions, which are very drastic sometimes.
Oh yeah.
And I don't think of myself as being that way, but then I look at myself and it's just like my eyes are twitching, my nose is bugged out, and what am I doing? So I think I'm really worried to see what I look like, even more than what I sound like.
There
You look
you
great.
Well,
I
we
got to
can't
see
do
your
anything
outfit.
about what you look
Marcel.
like, but you sound great.
Oh my gosh.
We had those glasses for you too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Greg
Oh
Finney
gosh,
just
those Harry
commented.
Potter glasses.
Greg Finney
Yeah,
just
okay.
said David's entrance on the live stream is life.
Oh yeah. I
Oh,
love that.
thank you so
So
much. I
cool.
lived for
I
that
have
moment.
seen that.
Like,
That's
just-
the only thing I saw.
Places his jacket on Caitlin's like head. And like, just,
No, that was the
walks
actual
by.
plan. I wanted it to be this whole like Devil Wears Prada moment where I
Oh,
just toss it on her
cool.
head. And we had discussed it and joked about it. And at first it was like, okay. And then as we were about to film, she's like, I don't think I can have that on film forever, that humiliation. So can you just pass me the jacket? But thank you very much for that. It's like also very near and dear to me.
Thank you, Malcolm. He appreciated my quarantine beard.
Yeah.
It's very
It's very luscious.
Looking like Santa
Very
Claus
luscious.
over there,
Very
Joel.
luscious.
Very luscious.
Parents would
Luscious
approve.
is the word.
Luscious,
Luscious.
luscious beard. We'll let Clarence talk about that on the next
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
On Monday. Well, I think this is a success. I think this kind of works, and I'm glad it made it through on our second
Cool.
attempt. But it is so good to see each of your faces, and I can't wait for Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern. If you tune into CBC Arts or Banff Center or Against the Grain Theater on Facebook, you'll find it. Please tell your friends. I can't wait to see you guys, and you'll be commenting and chatting in, and it should be fun.
For sure.
Really excited for it. Yeah.
Definitely.
Cool. All right. Any last words of wisdom?
Oh,
Stay
wisdom.
safe. Stay healthy.
Oh, okay.
Exactly.
Nothing.
That's it.
That's
David
it.
goes quiet once he
Eat
says
candy.
Marcel, go get some sun. Yeah.
Yeah, go for a walk,
I'm
bro.
going to a tanning bed after this. That's it.
that.
I think you're whiter than the wall behind you.
I know. I've disappeared.
Oh, poor Marcel.
I'm a screen right now.
Because you're an angel, Marcel. That's
Thank
all.
you.
Oh,
Yep, that's why.
love you guys.
Yes.
Love you guys too.
Yeah, this.
All right.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Ciao.
Bye.